Hello, hello, hello. Peace and blessings, y'all. My name is Elle Lyon, aka Elle the Lion, and I make pretty dope art. And I am the host here at Voices of the Millennials. And you are now listening and watching us on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, and we're online and we are streaming to many, many countries, 135. In fact, it might be a plus sign now because we're adding new places every day. And I'm so excited to be here with you. Today, we have another riveting conversation, an elevated conversation with your host, me, Elle DeLion. And we will be bringing on guests who are millennials. These folks are people who probably work with millennials. They are a millennial, or they know a millennial, or they are impacted by the things that millennials do, or they're trying to impact millennials, right? So this is all about the conversation that is shaping our generation and making, waves. It's making trends. These are the ways that we're finding out how we navigate this thing called life. And so I'm here. I'm not the only voice that, can speak for millennials. So I'm so honored to be able to bring guests through. Today we're going to be having Toks, Ayinla, as well as Jamie Ivory are going to be joining the show today. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into that, I want to let you know about an amazing event that's happening that I am hosting on, representing the Love Bay team. All right. So on July 22nd, that is a Saturday, if you are in the greater Toronto area, I want you to know that we are having our second annual Be the Light Youth Summit. And this is where we are really, really, really passionate about finding youth and helping to foster their growth by helping them to find power in their purpose, find a sense of purpose. Because when you find out who you are and why you are here and what you are meant to do, all of these things, I call it purpose. When you find that out, you feel elevated, you feel motivated, you feel inspired towards action, and you are finally able to use all of the gifts that you have inside of you to be able to bring forth positive changes in the world. And personally, I believe that I was brought here because I was brought here to make things just a little bit better than when I got here, And so what that means for me is helping to uplift people. I said last week, I love putting people on. Like that makes me wake up in the morning knowing that my job is to help people to fulfill their goals, helping people bring their visions to fruition. This is what gives me life. Okay. So when people ask me, why do you like to help? Why do you like to be out there in the community? It's because I honestly feel really fulfilled. I feel like I am walking in my purpose when I am helping to promote the positive things that people are doing in our community, helping to connect people to the resources that they need to fulfill their dreams. I don't know about you, but that sounds very exciting to me. And so that's why I'm really, really honored to be able to have this position. And so on July 22nd, we are bringing together all of the people that listen to us. If you're in the GTA area, as I said, in Canada, Ontario, around Toronto, that's where we're streaming live from. You can come and be with us in person. And it really is when a collective or a community of people come together that I believe that we are able to shine brighter. We all have a light inside of us. And we just sometimes need to connect with other lights to be able to really see our way, be able to really see the path ahead and how we can go forth in achieving the things that we dream about. And so, I mean, I can tell you all about my life story and how I got to this seat, but I think that it's more impactful when I'm given a platform like this where on July 22nd we'll get to meet some of these people in person. Please make sure that you go and check me out on at least either prettydope.art on IG, or you can also check me out on Elle DeLeon on Instagram, or you can also go to lovebay_, online radio, and you'll be able to find out everything you need to know about the Be the Light Youth Summit. We are giving away scholarships. This is a free event. You can come out. We have speakers who are going to inspire you and really help you to find power in your purpose. So come out and celebrate with us on July 22nd. I'm going to be there and I hope to see you there. I'm really looking forward to meeting some of the people who have been heavy supporting in the comments. I appreciate you. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person. All right. So we got about 2 more weeks until that event comes. And we got about 1 more minute before my next guest is going to be joining us. And this guest is going to be joining us. And, you know, this is someone that I have actually wanted to sit down with in this capacity since last year. So this is actually a big full circle moment for me. And this person, I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell you about exactly what they're doing right at this moment, because they've done so much in their lifetime. When I was doing research on them, you know, because I need to know a little bit about them so I can give you the tea, right? And here comes the tea. Here comes the
Hello.
tea.
Thank you for having me.
Building. You're so
Hello.
welcome. Thank you for being here. I really
Oh,
appreciate it. I was just saying to everyone that actually I met you about a year ago, and
yes,
we've been talking about doing something just like this. So
exactly.
for virtual, one day we'll do it in person, you know, but for all the people at home, I'd love for you to let them know about who you are and what you do, what you're passionate about.
Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Toks. I am a strategist, speaker, and writer. My passion really lies in helping people reframe their mindset to achieve the life of their dreams. And this can be anything from individuals to corporations to teams to high level executives. But I am a big proponent of the fact that what you believe becomes the reality that you see. So a lot of people are out here trying to get things, but there's usually a disconnect somewhere, and it's usually in that mindset space. So I'm really big on helping people align in that way by sharing resources, sharing strategies, sharing my story, and also advice and tips.
I love it. I love it. I love that, you know, you are a writer. I actually got the chance to read one of, I don't know if you have more than one book, but I read one of them, the one with the brown eyes. Yes.
Yes, right here through my brown eyes. Yes, I'm working on my second one, but yes, this is
Yes. And
my
thank you for
main
showing.
baby.
I
Thanks.
I loved it. I absolutely, yeah, I love that you're a writer. So I definitely want to chat to you more about your writing. We have a lot of people that listen to Voices of the Millennials that are interested in writing and just wanting to know more about how do you get to like having an idea to like, you know, having a book. So definitely want to chat to you a little bit about that. And then of course about the strategists and how, because just before you got on, that's what I was saying. Like my whole reason for being, why I like getting up in the morning, is to help people to bring their vision to fruition.
Yeah.
That brings me no greater joy than to see someone's idea come alive in real life. So I'm glad that we are chatting today. I knew, but did they know? Did the people out there know that Tokes would be giving us all this tea, all this talk? I'm not sure. She's also going to let us know about her biggest breakdowns and breakthroughs and how they helped her to find her passion. So these are the things we're going to be talking about today. So, you know, buckle up, kids. We're about to get into this. Okay. So I'd love to know, Tokes, about, let's just get into the biggest breakdowns and the breakthroughs. Like,
Yeah.
let me know about, if you can think about your biggest breakdown and maybe your biggest breakthrough. Maybe they relate, maybe they're tied together, because I know you're a reframer. So I feel like you're going to
Yes,
find some goodness in the badness. So, yes, let
always.
me know about your story. And then how did you, you know, how did all of that help you to find your passion to become a writer and a strategist today?
Yeah, so
But it's
my biggest breakdown is something that I share a lot with everyone. So 2019, my father passed away. I quit my job to become an entrepreneur, and my boyfriend of 8 years was like, "Oh, never been in love with you.
never.
Bye." Yeah, you know, I can giggle about this now
I
because
know, I know, I
all of
know.
that path got me to where I am, but it was really one of those where when they say it rains, it pours, it was like acid rain and hailstones like coming on me. And it got super depressing, you know, of course, all of this loss happening at the same time, things that you feel like are out of your control. And I got to a really sad, down moment where I was just like, God, whatever the lesson is in this that you're trying to teach me, like, can you teach? I think I got it. Like the suffering needs to stop. And I was like journaling this out, like my thoughts and my emotions, and like, God, make it stop. And then I heard in my mind, like, if you take the energy that you put into him and put it into yourself, I will make you great. And I was like, bet. Like, I was like, whoa, that's wild, right? And that was really the pivotal moment where it became first asking what was the energy I was putting into this guy? What
Mm.
how deeply did I believe in him, and what was I willing to sacrifice, to push for, to invest to see his dreams come to fruition? And have I ever put that amount of energy into myself? And it's a question like that I'm still working on right now, because sometimes I'll have work to do and I'll be like, oh, I'm tired. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, but if it was for somebody else, would I muster up energy to be able to stay up to get it done for them? So why don't I keep that same amount of energy for myself? So that was my breakdown that moved into a breakthrough. And through like that super depressive state that I was in, when I got to the other side of it, I was like, even though I feel like baby step by baby step I got to the other side, there must have been a tangible way that I did it. So I sat with that and I paid attention, and through thinking that through, I ended up creating my strategy, like my methodology, called the root work strategic goal setting technique. So it's a
Mhm.
technique that I used to get myself to a good place. And then when I realized that, oh, how can this be applicable to others, how can it be applicable to teams and organizations? And the answer was, it could be applicable to everybody through many different paths. So this sadness ended up creating this product that I now use to help individuals. I work with a bunch of tech founders, C-level execs, running through my methodology with them to help them achieve their goals and sustain them long term. So if it wasn't for the pits like of rock bottom, I wouldn't have come up with root work, which is now like really what I do day to day and has changed my life and the lives of so many other people.
That is amazing. I love there's so many gems in there. So I'm just trying to think like where I want to start. The one that like really dropped and hit me on the head, and it's something that I've been contemplating as well and wondering about myself, working on, is that idea of would I put as much energy into something that's for me
Mm,
that as I would for someone else, because I did, shamelessly plug that I love putting people on, and it's true. I do. And it's also for the reason of, there are some faults to that. There are
yeah.
some things that will hold you back from your own dreams. And I think that my dreams are also bigger than just helping other people. Like I also do have dreams for myself that
Yeah,
only actually involve me, and it involves other people helping me to get to there.
exactly.
That sometimes, yeah, that I put on the back burner. I must admit that this podcast, like getting this off the ground, thank you to Love Bay, Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, which you're now listening to. Thank you so much for this platform, because I had a secret podcast for like 6 years in deep in the memos of my phone.
Wow.
Um, just holding on to that, because and it was just a lot easier for some reason to help other people to achieve the very same thing that I was doing in secret. So
Yeah.
I'd love to know, for you, have you ever had, I think you touched upon it, but was there, like, how did you come to know that you wanted to use your writing to be able to help change people's lives, change your own lives, and then turn that in now to a business where you're helping even people that are beyond, like you said, there's C-level executives for like tech companies. Like, did
Mhm.
you ever see yourself getting there? Like, how did
No.
that transition happen after you realized, like, okay, I got these skills and now I want to apply it to something? If you can talk
Yeah.
about that moment.
Yeah, of course. So I I completely agree with what you said about being able to have that energy and vim for others and not having it for yourself. And I think one of the reasons why I I think it's difficult is because when we help others, we only see the upside, but when we do stuff for ourselves, we open ourselves up to the risk of the downside. You know, if I am putting in all this effort to myself, in the event that it doesn't happen, the weight of that despair or disappointment or embarrassment is also something I have to carry. Versus if I'm just cheerleading for somebody from a distance and pushing them through the good parts, you get to see all the nice parts without the bad, right? But even to that point, when I decided to quit my job in 2019, the first thing I did was write my book Through My Brown Eyes, partially because I had notebooks, journals, the digital notebook on my phone full of poetry, just like your secret podcast. You know, I have these things and I'm like, what is the purpose of this if it's just collecting dust on shelves? How can I give this to the people who it's meant to touch? Because I don't think my path is to just hoard poetry, thousands of poems, just writing them
Right.
to be buried, right? So I really pushed for that. And even just realizing that I can't go alone. So when I realized that I had root work and I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like I asked a few different friends, oh, do you want to do like a 6 week root work session with me where I like coach you and walk you through this strategy session to achieve your goals? And then I started telling people like, "Hey, I want to get into coaching. I want to get into strategy. And if you know anybody who's looking for something, let me know." And it got to the point where a friend of mine, Eunice, reached out and she's like, "Oh, there's this consulting opportunity with a company. They're looking for people and I put your name down." And I was like, whoa, 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 chill. But I was also grateful, right? And that one opportunity became the catalyst to me working with many different companies and going from being $30,000 in debt to now being able to charge anywhere from like 500 to over $1,000 an hour for my skills. And if I wasn't able to say, oh, I'm good at helping people, but let me also put my vulnerabilities and my needs out there to my community so that the same way I help them, maybe they can help me, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm a big proponent of community. I'm very shameless. I think when you and I met, I was like, yeah, I'm writing a book. I'm doing this. Like I tell people what I'm on because
Mhm.
you never know where it's going to connect. You know, over a year later, we're now doing this because I spoke to you then. We didn't know where you were going. I didn't know where I was going. And now somehow the world has brought us back together, you know? And if I had just saw you that day and kind of just waved and acted like, well, I don't want to put myself out there and you didn't do it either, we wouldn't
Mhm.
be here today, you know? And that opportunity would have been wasted because we decided to keep our mouths shut instead of really advocating for ourselves and hyping ourselves the way we would hype the people around us.
I absolutely well said, honestly. Um, huge. It's definitely one. There's a saying that I recently heard that I'd love to like just share to people, and feel free to keep using this because I think we all need to understand this idea of like community over competition.
Yeah.
Even the idea of competing with ourselves, sometimes I think that puts people into a trap,
Mhm.
um, of that there's a competition that exists at all. Like, I do think that we're all here. We as humans do need this sense of belonging in order to feel human and in order to thrive more than just survive. So I love what you're saying about community and how once you started actually saying out loud what you
Yes.
want to do to the community and to the universe, how the pieces just started falling in place like suddenly. And I think it has a lot to do with what you were speaking about, having that mindset that's able to reframe.
Yeah.
And the faster, the more efficient you become at reframing, the happier your life becomes. Because when all the things happen to you that you did not plan for or expect, and all the uncertainty that life brings, you are a person that doesn't phase you,
At
because like,
all.
uncertainty is your best friend. Give
Yeah.
it to me because I'm so excited to reframe this into exactly what I wanted. Like,
Mhm.
I must admit, I really want to impart that to people about like being able to like change your perspective and understand that while you have no control over whether or not it rains today, like you do have control over how you will see that rain to be a benefit to you, or is it a hindrance? Like, is this
Yeah.
rain, you're like, oh, this is so good. I can sit inside today and write my book, and I can watch the rain outside, and I'm gonna like, enjoy that my plants are getting their food today, or something like that,
Exactly.
simplest form. But
Mhm.
when it started for me, when it started there, it really helped to transform my life. So I would like to know, how did you even, yes, all these, you told us about some really hard things that happened to you all at the same time. And you mentioned that you found it in yourself to kind of say, hey, I'm going to take these things and, you know, change what they mean in my life. But were there
Yes.
any like key advice or people or things that happened that helped you to shift to that perspective, like, and start to take on that reframing mindset?
Um, One of the things I'll never forget that my brother-in-law told me at the time when I had just quit my job, because it's important to know I quit my job with zero savings. It was just really much conviction. So in
Mhm.
that first year, as I said, I went $30,000 into debt. And I had these expectations. Like when my book came out, oh my gosh, it's gonna be a bestseller. And immediately it didn't. Things didn't necessarily go the way I had wanted it to. And then he told me, you need to figure out your metric for success. If you're looking at what the masses are doing, that what people are clapping for, you're going to fall into the trap of being controlled by insatiable beings. Like people are never going to be satisfied. You're going to do something to you, you're going to hit a milestone, they're going to clap, it's going to be crickets, and they're going to want you to be bigger, faster, stronger, wilder, more audacious. And at what point do you say no? I don't want that, or I don't like that. That's not my satisfaction, that's not my joy. So he really told me, what does success look like to you? And I had to sit there and I'd say, yeah, financial freedom, money is great, but I also want to know that what I'm doing is touching people. Like my story, the life I went through, the difficulty, I don't think it was in vain. And part of my calling on this earth is to help people get to the end of what I got to. So those people who are still in the middle somewhere, who are lost, who don't know what to do, who don't know where to stand, I want to be able to say, hey, here's my story. And if you look at me, you're like, oh, she has it all together. Let me tell you about a time that I didn't. And let me tell
Yes.
you how I got out of it, so that since you're in it right now, you're not going to have that hopelessness that you're the only one. So when I realized that, that brings me more joy, being able to talk to someone and them saying, what you just said changed my worldview. What you just said gave me hope. I was super depressed, but now I have hope. If I can do that for people, that's immeasurable value. And I sleep better at night knowing that there's a purpose behind my work besides just like racking up money and people not really caring or not actually having that type of impact.
Yes, honestly, especially what you were saying at the tail end there, it just really summarized in my head. I'm like, yeah, why do I feel like I need to say this message to people? You know what I mean? Like, and that this is the only thing that I'm meant to do in this life. And I think it's basically what you said, that essentially you could sit down. And also, I must say, we were going to talk about your book because it helped to inspire me finally to do something other stuff. um, but if you're going to sit on 1,000 poems, like, because for whatever reason, when you get up in the morning, the universe makes you write, like, you just
Yeah,
can't help it, you start writing, and sometimes the writing turns into these things that it actually sounds pretty decent, like it could be said to other people, it might like succinctly say this big emotion in like these, this nice little, these bars. So if the universe is going to give you this, like, you can't help it. You just write. You always write. And this is the thing that even helps to keep you alive.
hmm,
Then you're right. Like, why wouldn't you try to put that in a format that
yeah,
is going to like help other people who might also be feeling like you?
exactly.
Like that, yeah, that just kind of, it seems like such a logical thought, but then the way that you said it, it really helped to reframe. Honestly, for me, even, why do I want to be a writer? Why do I want to be a spoken word artist? Why do I want to like speak and make sure that people hear what I'm saying, and not just because before I was content. I had 6 years of podcasts saved up. I would listen to myself. I'm like, that was kind of funny. Like, and then like really profound. But there were some days that I would have a conversation with somebody or a group of people, and I would hear the things that I said in my secret podcast, and I'm like, man, that probably could have helped them. Like,
Yeah.
I'd just be sitting there. Maybe I would tell them, and maybe, like you said, they would say, oh my God, that changed my life. Like,
Hmm.
now I'm not going to do that negative thing. I'm going to do this positive thing. Or they come back 5 years later and say, because you said that thing, like, I did this. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's the why. It's And again, it's so interesting. It relates back to life being so uncertain. You don't know sometimes why or how the impact that you're going to have, like how it will unfold. But if you feel, I just want to tell people who are out there listening, like you feel that compulsion to do this very
Yes.
positive thing, if it's positive, please, um, right? Then please go and do it. Like shine your light, like be a light unto others. Because where I was going with all of this too is that for you, Tokes, like I was in the manifesto office. They had
Mhm.
copies of your book there.
Yes.
Like I was just like, oh my God, this is exactly the kind of like poetry book that I've been wanting to write. Like I loved the way that you compartmentalize. Also it almost was like these just like gem dropping, like
Yeah.
you know those little captions that people put under their phone, but it was a book full of them, a book full.
Mhm.
If you are out there and you love like just reading captions, please, you should probably tap into Tokes's book. But I would love to know about your process for getting there because you said you had thousands of poems. How did you even sift through to be able to put it together and not get intimidated by the process of like breaking this down so you could break through to your
Yes.
post?
I so I initially decided, like, I come from a Nigerian background. When I told my parents I was going to quit my job in wealth management, they're like, to do what? So you kind of have to give them something tangible. So I was like, I'm going to write a book, and then we'll figure out the rest. The other things that I'm not too sure about, let me at least give you something tangible. So I
Mhm.
went through all of my poetry and I was like, okay, you have a lot of poetry and you might want to write more, but what can you do with what you already have? Instead of just reinventing the wheel, you have enough. So then I'm like, it has to kind of be anthology style. It's not going to have a direct path or journey per se. It's going to be an anthology. And then I'm like, okay, what are the chapters that I could put it into? And then that's where I came up with life, love, culture, and self. So I started going through all of my poems and like putting like marks beside it, like life, love.
Mm.
And then I like typed them all out and I looked at them and I'm like, okay, which ones can go, which ones can't, which ones are perfect, which ones need to be expanded on. And I just started doing it very messy. It was a very messy process, but like beautiful chaos essentially, right? And I was like, because it's an anthology, it doesn't have to have theme. Each poem just has to match the chapter in which I put it into, and that's
Yes.
it. And that's just how I went about doing it. I've been doing poetry since I was like 8 years old. I wanted to work for Hallmark. That was my dream job, writing Hallmark cards. And there was a time when I was maybe over a decade ago now, where I would do like spoken word slam poetry contests. If you go on YouTube, you might find them terrifying stuff. Um,
Wonderful. Mhm.
but then I realized that also in finding myself, I'm like, okay, you like writing poetry, but you're not necessarily a spoken word artist. Don't Me trying to do that doesn't match it's not fitting my soul. And people would be like, you can't write poetry and not do slam. I'm like, yes, you can, because
Yes,
watch
you
me.
can.
Watch me. I'm gonna do it right now. So I'm like, I want to write in a way that fits me. And if I do perform, it's usually very like I'll be seated with my book, reading in a like kind of like talking, chatting manner. And some people might say, oh, that's not it. But I'm like, it's not it for you. It
Mhm.
works for me. And that's just that. And being able to find my voice and be authentic in it was a really big part of like the process. Because I'm like, this book isn't stylized in a way where it would match slam. And at one point I was trying to like hit the hit the tones on each one, and I'm like, that doesn't even feel like what these poems are supposed to sound like. So then when I leaned into it in my own authentic way, it picked up in the way it did, and it actually became an Amazon bestseller, which was super cool because I'm self-published. So now I'm just working on the second one, trying to see what's going to come out of that, maybe get an agent, get some publishing deals. We'll see.
I love it. What a beautiful story about being able to break down. Like you literally broke down your poems into sections. And I did notice that. I love the sections and I loved how it didn't have what other poetry books, like as you were saying, like this sort of like this string that kind of like goes
Yeah.
out. But it made sense to me because it
Mhm.
felt like a real life.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
if could see myself through your brown eyes. Honestly, I really felt like there were so many poems where I felt like I was in the center of it. and this could have happened to me, or the feelings around it. Because what I also liked about your poems that you selected were that some of them were very ambiguous. Like it could apply to anything. It reminded
Yes.
me of Rupi Kaur, like how her
Mhm.
poems, so many people resonate with it, but they're not all talking about the same situation that happened.
Exactly.
Like
Mhm.
they all feel like they know each other, like, and they cry together about it. And I'm so like that's so inspiring to me, and that your book, became a bestseller on Amazon. I definitely think it deserved that.
Thank you.
Help me. I was gonna, like, I told you that I wanted to talk to you more about it because, again, now I'm on another quest. I'm similar to you. I have so many diaries, like written diaries full of, didn't know they were poems until, much later in life. And
Yeah.
similar to you, people were like, "Oh, well, if you have these things and they're poems, you have to recite them. You have to perform them." And
Yeah.
then when I would perform them, they're like, "That's not the cadence. That's not the cadence."
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
don't got it. Like, I don't know what you want. Like, this is how I envisioned it. And this makes sense to me reading it in this way. These were the feelings that were attached. And I guess I wasn't ever trying to be a slam poet. Um,
Exactly.
these days, I'm embracing both sides,
Mhm.
but I'm still more on the side of like, I think I'm a writer first. Like, it's really about the writing for me. The delivery, I want you to imagine that, because that's what I do. Like, I
Mhm.
love reading because I love being able to imagine the words in my own mind, like in my own voices that I make up for everybody. And then sometimes I love going out to the movie or hearing the audiobook and seeing what they thought it should be. But I like having my own take on it first. Like,
Yeah.
even reading your book in my words, like in my voice, help me to feel more represented in the book. And I think that's
Exactly.
why people read books. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think we're all right. And we're like
Yeah, I think so.
all the people out there that are feeling like, I have all these poetries, or I have songs, and but I don't want to be a singer. I don't want to perform them. I just want to put them out there. I would encourage you, like, to go out and share them still, even to the people, like you were saying. I liked how you said it. Please say it again. You said, maybe it's not for you. They said, "Oh, that's not the way to do." And you're like, maybe it's not for you. I don't know. You
Yeah,
said
when they said,
really
"Oh, that's not the way it should be done." And I'm like, I think I said, "That's not the way it should be done to you." Like people
Mhm.
like to tell you their version of things and expect you to absorb it as truth, but that's not the case. And even with writing now, one of the things that I found really cool that's kind of come out of writing for me is that I do copywriting. So I
Mhm.
have friends with companies and stuff. So I do voiceover, like if they want me to do the voice as well. But if not, I'm like, show me your brand, tell me what you want. I will write the words, beautiful words for you, like even vows, like wedding vows and all of that, right? Like there's many ways to utilize that skill and gift that aren't necessarily the typical ways that people would assume you have to, right? Like when you're black and you write poetry, they think you're going to do slam. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing slam. I'm going to be on a bar stool, chilling, mood
Yeah.
music, and having conversations while I read some pieces and then we discuss it and we break it down. That's me,
Yeah.
and that's going to be authentic when people see it because it feels right, more right than me being up there doing a lot that is not a lot for other people who are meant to do it. But for me, it's just going to feel so inauthentic. And that's going to
Yeah.
show through in my presentation or lack thereof, proper presentation of it.
Yes. No, those, I love that. I feel that you just really broke down once again for folks who are wondering, what can I do with all this writing? Those were some great avenues that you mentioned, and some that personally I have also started to take my writing into, because I realized, I'm like, I don't have, I could perform it, and just like you, sometimes I like to perform it. I like it, especially if I really have it down in my head, then I love to perform it. But I prefer to put it into other mediums like films. I love the idea
Mhm.
of doing voiceovers. I recently started also doing like voice acting, because I realized, like, even in your favorite animes, your favorite shows, your favorite dramas, they have like this monologue usually that starts out.
Yeah,
Who writes those? It's gonna be us. It's gonna be us. Like, it's gonna be
me.
us. Like, and when I started realizing other places my writing could live and exist,
Mm,
then I really started to feel like I was walking in my purpose. Like I
Yes.
was passionate about writing, but then now I felt like I was walking in my passion. Like this is for me. And so I love
Mhm.
to like get to a point with you now. What do you feel like right now after all of these things that have happened in your life? We've heard different things that you're working on, but what do you truly feel passionate about? And what is next for you? Like, where do you think you might take, some of these passions? Is there another place for you to take this?
Yeah, I'm working on my second book. It's gonna be quite different from my first one, a little more of that string along version, but it also still aligns with my need to help people. It's gonna be I like to call it a creative self-help book. So it's gonna take you through the poetry, but it's also gonna have monologue, as you said, in it,
Mhm.
taking you through the healing journey. So from when things fall apart through the journey to get to the other side of better. And I I do a lot of work in the corporate space and it's great. The money's great. It's there, but like at the same time, I feel like I've been disconnected because I haven't been giving to people like myself who don't necessarily have the money and all of that, something to be said for the hard work. So I'm really trying to push that. And I've been doing some like Q&As on Instagram every Sunday and also trying to do the same thing on TikTok. And something interesting that has been coming up for me a lot lately, and I think you too in a way, is that it's one thing to have passion, but it's also another thing to realize the location in which your passion lives. You know, just because you write poetry doesn't mean you need to be a slam poet. And if I were to go into the slam poetry space, I'd never find success. But it's not because my poetry is not good, but it's because my location isn't aligned with the way my passion is supposed to take me. So being able to really find that, like in the past 2 days, I started posting on TikTok intentionally. And I woke up this morning to two of my videos having 16,000 views, even though I only have 3,000 followers. And I was like, whoa. And I was nervous, but I'm like, okay, yeah, because this is what you're supposed to be doing. Life doesn't have to be hard. Your purpose doesn't have to come with struggle. Like it's a gift, hence why it's easy. And if it's going too hard, ask yourself, not is the gift bad, but am I really aligned locationally with where I'm supposed to flourish in this gift? So I'm trying to find those places where my location is aligned with my purpose. And the way that I can see that is when things start to happen really quickly and easily, quote unquote, because it's just fully in alignment with what I'm supposed to do and where I'm supposed to be.
That is beautiful. Like that's I was trying so hard not to do no ums and ahs because I'm like, I put that, I need to put that out to everybody because that is exactly it. Being able to understand locationally, is my purpose or is my passion aligning with the things that I'm doing and the people that you're meeting, all the energies that you're bringing in. Are you really being I love to like bring up mindfulness at this time, like
Mhm.
awareness. Are you really tapping into that? Like the people who are listening at home, I do think that, Tokes is somebody that you should talk to. Actually, Tokes does talk. Y'all should follow her.
Yes.
Uh, y'all should follow her. So I would say, last thing I would love for everybody to know is where to find you. If somebody wants a strategy, which I think I do, like honestly, I'm gonna be
Yay.
talking to you. I'm gonna send you a DM. And I think anybody that wants to like just understand themselves a little bit better and how to really bring their passion into the front view, be able to like live that life that you see in your head. This is the person you should talk to. So please let us know how to
Yes.
find you.
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Toks Talks. On my Instagram, I have a link to my Calendly where I do 90-minute strategy sessions. They're root work strategy sessions. So I take you through the whole process. We figure out what your goals are. And then not just that, at the end of the session, we book another 20-minute slot a month later that's included in the cost to just really see and assess and do like that assessment of, is this working for you? Is it not? What do we need to pivot? What do we need to change? So find me on Instagram, find me on YouTube, find me on TikTok, Twitter, all under Toks Talks, or my website, tokstalks.com, which also links to all of it as well.
Amazing. And I'm going to follow you on TikTok because I just got TikTok.
Yay, welcome.
Hearing what you're saying about that intentional list as well. Like when you, at first I was like, this is frivolous. I can't see the point of me doing this. But then I intentionally posted some things and I also got back some like decent results. Not 16,000 yet, but I was like, you know what? Okay,
Okay.
TikTok. So I'm gonna follow
Okay.
you.
You're cute. It was so great speaking with you.
Amazing. I look forward to speaking to you again. And please,
Yes.
everyone, make sure that you go and follow Toks Talks everywhere on all the socials. And thank you again for all the gems that you dropped, telling us
Thank
about your
you.
breakthroughs.
All right.
Blessings. Talk soon.
Bye.
That was Toks Talks, Toks Ayinla. And next up, we have our next, creative business owner. I'm just going to let this person, as I told you, I like for people to introduce themselves. I used to be a big bio reader, but I feel like people can do a really good job of telling you what you should know about them. So Jamie Richards is our next guest on Voices of the Millennials. You are listening to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio online. We're streaming everywhere.
All right,
All
all
right.
right.
So, Jamie, how are you
Yes,
doing, sir? Thank you for
I'm
being
doing
here.
wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm doing wonderful, actually. For everyone that doesn't know, my name is Jamie Ivory, and I am a model. I design, and I am now doing voice acting. So I'm doing a little bit of everything. I'm big on the arts and the artistry, and yeah, I'm here to give my story, most definitely.
Yes, yes. As you know, here on Voices of the Millennials, we love to talk to people about their breakdowns and how those led to breakthroughs. And today we're talking all about our passions. We had Tokes on earlier, and she was also, getting into some voice acting and somebody who has learned how to take like one passion and kind of spread it out into other places so that they will be able to live the lives that they see in their heads, see when they go to sleep. So I'd love to know for you, what was your biggest breakdown? How did that lead to your biggest breakthrough? And, being able to live a life where you are fulfilling your passions.
Okay, well, I'll definitely say my biggest breakdown was when I was incarcerated.
Mhm.
In 2015, I went to jail for about a year or so, but I had to do 4 years house arrest initially. So I had a whole lot of time to think about what I needed to do to better myself. And really and truly, I had no choice. I think that was the best thing for me to do at the time. Um, so when that happened, man, like being in jail, it was very, very interesting. Because not only do you mentally have to be strong, but you also have to understand that you can't reoffend, you can't do the same things that you did in the past, right? So while I was in jail, I started to think about all the things that I'm into, what I'm passionate about, and it was definitely music, it was definitely the arts, and just bettering myself overall. So I started to think about certain things like modeling and um, just how to persevere, right? Because it's so hard. It's so hard in jail. Like a lot of people will tell you, it's not easy at all to manage, right? Um, so I would definitely say that was my breakthrough and sorry, my breakdown. Um,
Mhm.
and my breakthrough, I would say, started when I started to believe in myself more. I think that mental health is a big issue, and I think your mental can determine where you go in life. I think it really starts with that. So my main thing was to make sure that mentally I was strong enough to move forward and believe in myself to get the things that I need to get done. So I actually went through college during house arrest and I graduated in physiotherapy. So I got a lot of knowledge with the mind, the body,
Mhm.
and the nerves and everything like that. So that was great. And then after that, you know, unfortunately, I realized that I had a felony. So it was very hard to get back into that field. So the next thing was like, okay, tap into your talents, tap into your skills, right? So I started doing screen printing, and then screen printing turned into designing, and then I noticed that I was always into style, so my style then turned into modeling. So my thing was just figuring out a way to turn my pain into passion, right?
Mhm.
Into power as well, and also being able to profit and be happy with what I'm doing. So that was definitely the main things for me.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that because obviously that takes us to a lot of different places. One, of course, I I commend you for being able and being vulnerable and sharing your story with us. That a lot of people, I think, would think that getting incarcerated means like the end of your life.
Right.
And you know that you cannot be able to bounce back from that and be able to find a breakthrough. But I love that you're showing, I guess, some of the positive side of what can happen from incarceration, that there are some people who do get rehabilitated. Of course, we can talk about, the justice system on another topic. We'll talk about that
Right.
another time.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
let's just focus on the positive, that you were actually able to find a way, one, to get a degree like you did. You used the time that you had, as you said, to actually think and reflect on, how did I get here and how do I make sure I never get back here again? Like, and
Yeah.
getting an education, being able to apply that. But then boom, now you got a breakthrough and then break down again, actually head fake. Yeah, you got this degree, but you can't use it anywhere because you have a felony. So sorry. But I love how you were like, nope, that's not it for me. Like, I'm still going to find a way. Actually, I have these other talents. I always been thinking about art. And now you've been able to, and I see, your platform. So let's like get right into it, because now you have broken through to a new platform, and it is elevation through art form. And so
Yeah.
I'd love to know, you talked about your t-shirt printing, but maybe even break down like, the other services and things that you've been able to do through this platform. Tell us about the platform. How did it really get born? We'd love to know.
Yeah. So the whole elevation through art form is pretty much what it means is to elevate through a passion. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be, paint or music. I think what's important is that as long as you're passionate about what you do and you have a skill, that's your art form. And I think the whole message is mental health and keeping a positive mindset, right? Because people every day, they tend to just do their 9 to 5, but they don't look at the positives about their 9 to 5 or whatever they may be doing, right? For instance, for example, a carpenter, you know, a carpenter might downplay what he does because it's not looked as an art, right? But in my opinion, you have to be skilled to still do that, right? So in my way, that's an art form, right? Any type of skill that you're passionate about is an art form to me. So the whole message is to be positive within that and find your happiness through your art form, no matter what it may be. You could be the garbage man. Find your passion in that, right? Tap into your mindset that allows you to continue to push. Because I think in the world today, there's so much negativity, right? That
Mhm.
we see, and there's like it's kind of hard to stray away from that, right? And like I said, mindset is a big thing, and it starts with that. So as long as you can keep the mindset that you are doing great, right, no matter what it may be, then you'll always progress and you'll always want to do better and find out what's next for you. So that's the whole message of elevation through art form.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And is this in terms of your platform, is this something that you're engaging others in? And if so, how can they become more engaged?
Yeah. So
That
so
is
what
so.
what I would say is, luckily, I've been looking to facilitate an event space. And I finally got the okay for that. And the event will be called Elevation Through Art Form. So what I plan to do is make it a networking event where people of all kinds from all different art form backgrounds can come together and network. Now, like I said before, you don't have to be a painter, a rapper, or any of that sort, right? You could be an electrician, right? And I think what's important is including those people into the space, right? Because I've been to some events where I meet people and I ask them, hey, like, so what's your thing? Like, what do you do? And they kind of like brush it off. Oh, like, I do this or I go to school for that. And, I try to mentally tap them into like being happy about what they're doing, right?
Mhm.
So I've noticed that at a couple shows that I've been to, and I really want to I really want people to feel included. But not only that, I want people to network, and I want people to be able to make something out of what they're doing. So I think it's important to create a space that can allow everyone to feel comfortable, no matter what it is that you do.
Yeah, I think that that is incredibly important.
Yes, I'm very
I
excited.
absolutely love what you said about the fact that everything, I believe in this too as well, that everything is an art form. If you have a skill, then it is an art. Like, I think the two are synonymous, they equal each other. Like, there's an art of business, there's an art of science, like, there's an art of everything. So I love that you said that. And I hope that people were listening at home and writing those down. That was a gem that was dropped, that right now what you are doing that you may think is just like an everyday thing. It's you know, you're gardening, maybe you're mowing the lawn or something like that. Even that can be an art form. And I think
Right.
that maybe the difference between like the skill versus the art of it is the way that you think about it. Like you were saying, it's how do you think about your carpentry? Do you think that that cabinet that you built is now a piece of art, or do you think that it is just a cabinet?
Right.
Today I was speaking with someone,
That's
and
exactly it.
it's a quote, right? A quote that we like. It's as a man thinketh, but you know, as a human thinketh, you know, in the
Mm,
22nd century, wherever we are right now, just saying that as you think, therefore you are. Like, if you think something about yourself, then that is what it is going to be. Even if other things happen in your life, like to kind of elevate you past that mind state, inside you will always have that like small mind or that mind about that thing. But when you change the story about what that thing is, like, then you become something different. Like you, my
yes.
friend, you know, you are a perfect example. There's so many people that I know that have been incarcerated. They've come out even. They have
Yes.
not done what you have done with your life. Like that incarceration and what happened to them stays over them like a cloud. Like, and
Right.
it, in their mind, they are a criminal for life. They are everything that everyone sees them as. They never exit that jumpsuit that they went in with. And
Right.
I love that you have been able to escape that and reframe your mindset. It's not that those things have not happened to you. Like, you fully accept responsibility and accountability, and also now applying that knowledge so you can have power again.
Right.
Like, and
Most
I hope that
definitely.
people are out there listening and feel empowered by your story. I'd love to know if there was any advice, like beyond, you know, your own strong mindset, which obviously you do have, but were there any people or like pivotal moments along the way that helped you to turn that breakdown into a breakthrough? Did anybody say anything to you? You saw something on TV, read a
Most
book?
def-
Yeah.
Most definitely. I was just about to say that I think a support system is key, and it doesn't matter the amount of people that are in the support system, but as long as you have a few people, even one person, is all it takes, to just be honest with you and say, you know, this is what the situation is. I know that you might be going through this, but I believe that you have this skill. I believe that you can do it. And as long as you have someone in your corner that's able to tell you those things, I think that also really helps with your mindset and with pushing forward, right? Because if you tend to be stuck in like a little cloud or a circle where you just don't feel that you can do anything, I think the only way for you to really truly believe that you can be something is if someone tells you. So
Mm,
I think that's very important to be. You also have to be around people that support you. It's not you can never feel down and then be around people that are pulling you down as well. You know what I
mm.
mean? So also be very mindful of your support system and the people that you hang around with, because that really matters. That definitely matters.
It really, really does. I thank you so much, because that is a big, big fact. And I think, you know, one that we can wrap up our conversation. It always goes by way too fast. And shout out to everyone who's listening at home. Crystal
Most
High
most
Power, you
definitely.
know, what up, what up? Thank you so much for listening.
Uh,
And safe spaces are necessary. Circles where you feel like you can elevate and it will be supported and celebrated. Very important. So if you, just like Jay said, if you're in a place where you're feeling like they bring you down, and then you're wondering why you feel down, like there's
Yeah.
some math there that you're not doing, right? And there's some like awareness there, and maybe you need to be around people who, you know, cheerlead you for a bit so that you can feel motivated to action. And escaping those negative and toxic places is better for your health, better for the world. And, you know, Jamie Ivory is a perfect example in my eyes of somebody who really learned how to take their breakdowns, turn them into breakthroughs, and now showing others how to do the very same. So before you get out of here, before we get out of here, I'd love to know, where can we find, what's the next thing, like next big thing you're working on that everyone should come out to? And then please let us know where to find you so we can connect.
Okay, most definitely. So on the 27th is going to be my first event facilitated by me this month. And like I said, the event is called Elevation Through Art Form. So I will have more information on that. Right now, I'm kind of working on the process and getting everything together. But everyone is more than welcome to attend. So that is the next thing that I am working on. And I'm very stoked because it's going to be held by sponsor. So we have people backing it, and people definitely believe what I have to say. And man, I really want this to be bigger than me at the end of the day. Like I said, I went through quite a lot in my life, and I'm still going through stuff. But I think it's important to share the knowledge and I'm very open-minded to speak about my truth, right? So,
Mhm.
most definitely, that's what I have coming up next. Of course, I'm doing modeling here and there. If anybody wants to network with me when it comes to modeling or designing, I design bucket hats, and I'm now moving into garments as well. So the elevation through art form is me, most definitely, and I can truly say that me doing these things has definitely kept my mind on point for sure. And I truly believe that I can be something while doing these things. So
Mm.
it's amazing, and it does take time, but do believe that over time things will change, and you will mentally get better. And just always believe in yourself. Most definitely, I think it really starts with your mindset, no matter what. You have to believe in yourself and find that little piece of you that can say, you know what, I can do it. I can be that. You know what I mean? So I will definitely end off with that. And if you are looking to add me on any social media, I'm on Instagram at Jamie Ivory. That's Jaimie, and then Ivory like the tusk. And yeah, I'm on there all the time. So check me out. And most definitely, much love to you, Elle, for the platform. I really appreciate it. And this is only the beginning for us, right?
Yeah, we gonna have you
It's
back
only the
for
beginning.
sure. Because
Yeah,
we
most
want to keep
definitely.
seeing like what's happening with your elevations. You know, I
Yes,
have
yes,
elevated conversations, your elevation through art form. We have to reconnect. I
yes,
really
yes,
thank you
yes.
so much for being here, sharing your story with us, your breakdowns, your breakthroughs. Next up on our, you know, I want to say farewell to Jamie Ivory. Make sure y'all connect with Jamie Ivory over here. My bad, that way. And thank you so much. You already know, we know what it is. I will catch up with you in real life.
Yes, most
And
definitely.
yes, peace and blessings. Thank you
Thank
again
you.
for being here.
Much love, guys.
Blessings, blessings, everyone. That's it for Voices of the Millennials today. You already know what it is. I'm Elle DeLeon. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. And thank you to everyone that was listening today. Thank you to Toks and also Jamie Ivory for bringing their breakdowns and breakthroughs and helping us learn how to live our most passionate lives. Peace and love. See you next time.